if I might start with you, this is a huge order for a very controversial aircraft. Why are you making this commitment now?
We're here with breaking news that has upended the whole European and American aviation industries. Ryanair has stated that it may take serious steps to terminate a Boeing deal worth over $30 billion. Such a move would not only shake up the relationship between the two titans, but it may also have a significant impact on the worldwide aviation sector. So, why did Ryanair take such harsh measures? How much may Boeing lose? And how will this affect the trade balance between Europe and the United States? If you want to know the answers to all of these questions, subscribe to our channel, switch on alerts, and remember to press the like button. Ryanair is considering scrapping a huge order for Boeing 737s. Industry experts estimate a total list price of $30 to $35 billion. Of course, airlines sometimes provide huge discounts for orders of this kind, but the fact that the order's nominal worth exceeds $30 billion highlights the gravity of the situation. The 737 MAX versions, which have a list price of roughly $110 million per aircraft, can provide up to 40% reductions to low-cost carriers like Ryanair. Nonetheless, it is obvious that such a large-scale cancellation will strain Boeing's finances. According to Boeing's official data, the commercial airplane category generated around $23.2 billion in sales in 2024. If Ryanair's planned order is canceled, Boeing's future revenue predictions might be drastically reduced. Because the deliveries for this deal would be spaced out over 5 to 8 years, Boeing would send a specific number of planes to Ryanair each year, giving a continuous cash stream of billions of dollars to its coffers. If we recall that Boeing's entire revenue in 2024 was around $37.5 billion, the cancellation of a 30 carriers for $35 billion transaction might have a significant impact on the company's profit margins and cash flow in the medium term. It is important to note that in this situation, Boeing would lose more than just aircraft sales. When a large order is canceled, auxiliary income streams such as spare parts and maintenance contracts are also terminated. Boeing may eventually lose several of its value-added services, including pilot training, simulator services, and software upgrades. Spare parts and maintenance contracts, rather than airplane sales, often provide larger, long-term earnings for aircraft manufacturers. Ryanair's action has the potential to take all of Boeing's extra resources away. When we examine the net loss data, experts projected Boeing to generate almost $20 billion in actual profits from this transaction, because despite the high list price, the real sales price contains substantial reductions. This estimated $20 billion intake suggests a profit of at least $5 billion to $7 billion for Boeing, even after subtracting aircraft production costs and operations expenditures. Even the most modest calculations predict a net profit of around $4 billion. If the agreement is totally abandoned, Boeing may be unable to realize a profit of this scale from another airline in a relatively short period of time. Furthermore, Boeing does not want to suffer such a setback while still recuperating from the 737 MAX disaster. The Europe-US trade dimension is also noteworthy. According to historical statistics, the European Union exports aircraft, parts, and aviation equipment to the United States totaling roughly $35 billion per year, whereas U.S. aviation exports to the EU range between $20 and $25 billion. The competition between Boeing and Airbus has been intensified by challenges over subsidies and tariffs. The intensifying trade battle, particularly under Donald Trump, has resulted in reciprocal duties, which Boeing has frequently urged U.S. authorities to resolve, claiming they really harm the consumer. However, it is impossible to discuss a lasting solution at this time. Ryanair's CEO recently had a spat with a U.S. politician. During the argument, the CEO once again threatened to return to Chinese jets, claiming that extra customs fees would undermine the company's competitiveness if it chose Boeing. Although China's COMAC C919 model has yet to receive its European certification, it is expected to be able to offer highly inexpensive pricing due to the Beijing administration's unrestricted backing. Ryanair's decision to progressively add Chinese-made aircraft to its fleet is regarded as a step that might challenge Boeing Airbus's long-standing supremacy. But how near is the decision to cancel? Some analysts say it's a negotiating chip. In other words, Ryanair may be attempting to wring greater concessions from both Boeing and EU-US tax laws by stating, "We will stop ordering Boeing." However, the sad tragedies involving the Boeing 737 MAX and the following safety concerns have already tested Ryanair's tolerance. Furthermore, the aviation sector, which has recovered from COVID-19, does not want to be jolted again by growing expenses and global economic volatility. As a result, Ryanair may hunt for a new supplier and give COMAX considerable consideration. To assess the impact of this potential cancellation on Boeing, consider the company's current order and delivery data in the commercial aircraft category. According to Boeing's current records, the 737 family has over 4,000 pending orders. But the abrupt loss of a large customer like Ryanair would be a financial and psychological hit. Experts estimate that Boeing shares will fall between 5 and 10% on the stock market. The firm, which is trying to rebuild after the epidemic, is also encountering supply chain issues. Furthermore, Boeing's position in the Chinese market is uncertain as a result of US-China tensions. Add to these issues the cancellation of one of Boeing's key European clients, and the company risks entering another crisis cycle. Of course, it would be incorrect to believe that Boeing will be the only one to suffer from this trend. Ryanair is also taking significant risks in terms of aircraft purchase. The company's fleet is nearly completely made up of Boeing 737s. This model informs the design of pilot training, spare parts, and maintenance infrastructure. If the corporation truly intends to transition to Chinese aircraft, an entirely separate logistical and training chain must be put in place. Furthermore, it may take years for the European Aviation Safety Agency, ESA, to certify COMAC aircraft, speed testing processes, and build maintenance and repair facilities. However, if Ryanair is ready to take this risk, it may believe that the cost of tariffs is far higher. Meanwhile, the deal between Boeing and Ryanair includes penalty terms in the event of cancellation. Typically, such large transactions include billions of dollars in damages. Ryanair may attempt to escape these damages by using a force majeure argument, particularly by alleging unexpected cost rises due to trade disputes. However, the contract's specifics are not publicly available. Nonetheless, Ryanair's strategy must be complete both legally and financially, because canceling the order immediately risks permanently destroying the long-standing partnership with Boeing. According to European aviation import-export figures, more than 40% of the EU's total aviation commerce is with the United States. This makes Boeing's presence in the area important. If a major customer like Ryanair drops out of Boeing, would other European carriers follow? This question is a Boeing management nightmare. According to some analysts, firms such as Lufthansa, EasyJet, and Air France are also reacting to tariffs imposed by the United States. Although they have not yet issued such bold declarations, if present customs regulations do not alter, we may see more cancellations in the medium future. At this stage, the Chinese element takes on greater importance. The Chinese government has enabled COMAC's C919 model to compete with the 737 MAX and Airbus A320neo in terms of range, capacity, and fuel economy. COMAC is expanding quickly because of generous government subsidies and an aggressive technology transfer program. If Ryanair places a significant order for COMAC aircraft, it will open the way to entering the European market. At a time of rising trade tensions with the United States, the European Union may possibly give the go-ahead to expand aviation cooperation with China. This would, of course, raise alarms for Boeing and Airbus. Despite being located in Europe, Airbus, like Boeing, is concerned about tariffs and reciprocal penalties to minimize disruptions in its huge supply chain. Finally, in trade conflicts, both sides might lose. Beyond the economic dimension, there are geopolitical interests at stake. While the United States refers to Boeing as its national pride, the European Union frequently protects and supports Airbus in the same way. China, on the other hand, seeks to acquire strategic clout by introducing COMAC into the global market. Ryanair is attempting to position itself advantageously in this power war. Ryanair, which is practically the market leader in low-cost airlines, intends to keep ticket costs low by keeping the amount it pays for each plane to a minimum while being consistently better than its competitors. As a result, it publicly declares in numerous remarks that it will not hesitate to turn to COMAC if tariffs are not eliminated or reduced. So, what may happen in the last phase? Most likely we will witness strong discussions between Boeing and Ryanair. Politicians may intervene and explore the potential of partial exemptions or further tariff cuts. If no diplomatic solution is found, Boeing may face the danger of losing a large order. In this scenario, Boeing's stock would collapse, the production line would remain idle, and thousands of people in the U.S. industrial sector would lose their employment. On the Ryanair front, there is also much ambiguity about the new fleet's interoperability, certification processes, and logistical infrastructure. However, the corporation may believe it is preferable to begin on a new adventure rather than be crushed by cost demands. Overall, we're talking about orders in excess of $30 billion, which is a massive sum for the worldwide aviation business. The cancellation of this agreement, which accounts for almost a year or a year and a half of Boeing's annual commercial jet profits, might generate significant economic and political upheaval. The question of whether business battles have winners and losers is debatable. For the time being, we are keeping a careful eye on how the tensions between Ryanair and Boeing develop. If the decision to cancel is taken, Chinese-manufactured aircraft may soon arrive in European skies. This would disturb the combined dominance of Boeing and Airbus, redistributing the cards in the worldwide market in favor of COMAC. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to our channel, enable alerts, and help us by enjoying our videos. Goodbye.